I'm still laughing. And we're back. Fight Junkies, let's go. I have two awesome guests in the house. I have the co-founder of Five Finger Death Punch himself, Zoltan the Great. Bethari is in the house. Man, what a legend. And then I got my buddy Matt, Epic Roll, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. Check out Epic Roll everywhere. Best gear you can find. What's up, gents? You know, I never thought about how this looked in front of my face.
Yeah, now that's all you think about.
Yeah. So welcome back to Vegas.
Dude.
Welcome back to the heat.
It's hot. This is a different kind of heat here. Holy shit.
Feels like Iraq, right?
Right.
Oh my God.
I live here, so it's for me. It's...
Oh, you live in Vegas?
Oh yeah. So this is normal.
Yeah, I'm hoping it calms down in the next few weeks. It's supposed to rain this weekend.
I mean, the last time I was here, it was like 2 a.m. and it was 170 degrees still.
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck is going on, man?
Oh, man.
You know, it's like a little too much.
Those old mafia members should have picked a different place to build some casinos.
Yeah, seriously.
So I was super stoked to have you guys in here. Obviously, you know, I grew up in the same era. You know, I graduated in 2004, and it was, you know, Mayhem Fest and different things were going on back then. Slipknot was huge. Linkin Park, you know, rest in peace to the GOAT. A lot of big things that I went through, especially in New Jersey, right on the borderline of New York. There was a lot of concerts, it was one of the best times, I think, you know, early 2000s. It was when music was still there. MTV was still MTV. It wasn't, you know, you could understand when people made music. You knew what the fuck they were saying. So to have you on here is like, you know, I'm honored to have you. I appreciate it. Five Finger Death Punch has been going strong since 2005. Man. So, how you doing? What's up?
Great, going strong still.
Yeah, I see that.
But it's funny that you were saying that, you know, the music still was great in 2004. So you weren't really around when Nirvana broke up, and, you know.
No, that was a little before me.
See what I mean?
Yeah.
We remember those times.
Oh my God.
Yeah, how old are you guys?
I'm 43.
All right, so you guys, I was like in 8th grade when you guys were seniors. Yeah,
pushing 100.
Yeah.
He's also 106, but he looks great. This is a Hungarian blood.
I had 9 lives already, so yeah.
I bet. How is it? I'm not you guys. What does it look like now for you guys as a band? I know you guys have been through so much, you know, so much beautiful stuff. Plus, you know, there's a lot of hard things. You know, keeping bands. You've had a lot of. Moments that people will never be able to experience. And some people and even if they did, it's not going to be like what you guys had. I think rock stars I related to the military, like go. And then when I got out, I was just Bobby at my dad's house. And I was like, what the fuck I got to take the garbage out? What do I do now?
Right.
So
that's some of PTSD comes from there. You know, like you were important. People were lives were depending on you. When you come home, then all of a sudden I was like, man.
Yeah, what do I do?
This.
So coming off tour, I'm sure you guys, can you tell me about how this all kind of came about?
Yeah, so 2005, that's when we started, you know, and every one of us were in different bands before, so, you know, nobody was brand new, so to speak. So we kind of knew what not to do. You know, we knew where the landmines are, so the band could develop and grow pretty fast because, you know, we weren't doing the dumb inside stuff that bands usually fight about, right? So, you know, band was developing really fast, and because of the lyrical content and how our stance on certain social events and social situations and politics, we immediately had this massive military fan base. So that was there from the beginning, you know. And what we were talking about earlier about the Iraq thing, that's kind of what happened, where we, you know, first record, when we were playing certain songs, I could see military guys out there saluting. So we didn't start that, they started that, right? And then all of a sudden, as this audience was growing, we started to get the invitations from the USO, and that's how we ended up playing pretty much every military base there is overseas, or, you know, Pacific Rim from Okinawa, Japan we played, you know, Iraq a couple of times.
Was there any pushback at all? Like, did you guys sit down and take a vote? Like, did we, you know,
we were into it. It was natural, I guess. You know, I mean, we lived through so many crazy stuff that, you know, we were in Europe when the whole terrorist attack happened in Bataclan.
Oh, wow.
So we were on tour, all the bands were going home, and we were taking a vote, and we decided to finish the tour.
Damn.
So we stayed there. I put together a meeting, told all the crew members, like, hey guys, this is real. And not just that this happened, we were also on a threat list. So there was the Group Anonymous hacked some server, and they sent me. We used to communicate on Twitter. Believe it or not, that was a fairly secure thing back in the days, right? So in Twitter, we would communicate, and I would get these hits like, "Hey guys, we broke into some server, and you guys are on the threat list. So you're actually on the list, and we're gonna make this list public. If nothing gonna happen from the government side." And a couple of days later, it was out. Like, you can Google it right now, and it's on. We were number 6 on the list of targets.
Jeez.
And so that happened in Europe, and we were on this list in the same time. And then I put together this meeting, like, okay, guys, anybody wants to go home, there's no shame in this. If you're family, whatever, then go. Nobody went home. Most of our crew members are former military as well, so
Yeah, you just did.
everybody's like, eh. And then, most bands went home, and then we were doing these interviews, and they would be, at this point, what I'm going to say about it, right? So they stick a microphone in your face, like, "Hey, man, like, are you guys scared?" Or, So I just made it into a joke, like, man.
Those guys are all pussies.
We're
doing this shit.
You didn't want to say that because they know where I'm at. I don't know where they are. So so we're not gonna pick up.
No, I mean the other bands, not the terrorists. Don't tell the terrorists that.
So no, basically what I was saying to all the interviews, like, man, I mean, we went to Iraq a couple of times. We went to Kuwait, played all the in a patriotic band, and still didn't make top 5. Really? Number 6 on the trap list.
I know you should have been number 1.
Yeah, right. I'm like, what's going on here, right? Like,
what's the guy got to do to get to number 3?
Right.
That's that'd be something cool out of all the accolades you guys have had, all the memories to put that on your wall. We were the number 1 on the threat list for terrorists.
I was saying, like, look, our record at the time was "Got Your 6." Maybe they had a sense of humor, like, "Oh, got your 6, number 6, yeah, good."
I don't know. Yeah.
So and all these reporters were like, "You guys are out of your fucking minds." But I mean, probably they would have a sense of humor, like, this guy's funny, maybe.
We had a guy that was really into like hardcore like music, and he and played your guys' music a lot. And sometimes I was probably dumb to do, but if we got hit or like we knew there was a lot going on in the town, we would blast like Five Finger Death Punch and Metallica and stuff into the city from our palace.
Oh,
very loud all night long. To drive them nuts.
Nice.
Yeah, that's probably why we got hit a lot. They were blowing us up because they're like
trying to hit your speakers.
Yeah, we're trying to sleep, you son of a bitch.
You know what I'm thinking? Like, now I'm putting 1 and 1 together. Maybe the online haters are all those villagers. Like, oh, fuck these guys.
They all met at the internet cafe, and they're like, all right, my turn.
Yeah, there was a lot, not just us. Tons of soldiers did that were on combat patrols. They would blast music. It just helps you get through. It gets you ready. You know what I mean? If you can ever get pumped for that. So, you guys, obviously, how did you guys come together? I know a little bit about the jiu-jitsu community, and I do see that a lot of like celebrities and people. Right. They maybe they're missing something because they've done so much. Kind of like what we just spoke about. So
Zoltan adopted me.
He adopted you? You guys are a beautiful family.
Dad.
How'd you guys get linked up?
So we met through a mutual business partner. Like, it was actually before the pandemic, because I remember the first show that we ever went and saw them was like right before the pandemic hit, and so that was kind of when we first interacted, and I had knew that Zoe was a judo and jiu-jitsu black belt, and so I gave him some epic roll gear, and we kind of kept in touch throughout the couple of years, and as I was kind of growing the brand, and reconnected at the end. And obviously Zoe and his wife Heather Gracie have an incredible amount of interest in the jiu-jitsu community, and very passionate about that. So we kind of sat down and worked out an agreement to kind of come together and join forces to help Epic Roll, explode and hopefully become the biggest jiu-jitsu brand on the planet.
Wow, that's breaking news right there.
Yeah, right. Well, it's coincidences I can really ignore, because what are the chances? Like, a jiu-jitsu community is pretty tight as is, right? It's a family. One of the things that attracted me to jiu-jitsu actually, or why I really stayed with that, because immediately I was a judo black belt before I even started jiu-jitsu, right? I started it when I was 9 years old. So my whole life, that was a cornerstone of my life in some way. And And when I started jiu-jitsu, the difference is that in jiu-jitsu, the community is really a family. And I would travel the world and I would train in various academies all over the world. And everybody was, accepting me, open arms. Let's go, let's train, right? Sometimes I would, land in, Dubai, and the guys are on the airport already, like, hey, let's go train. I'm like, bro, I just flew 17 hours. Let me take a shower. And you know what I mean? But this was a thing. Like, so the jiu-jitsu community is already is a family, right? So it wouldn't be weird that a lot of people, especially me traveling. I know when I go to a competition, I know most of the people there, right? And so it wouldn't be weird that we come across each other. But what was weird that how often I would. Like, I would come across people that would wear Epic Roll. I'm like, this thing is everywhere. Like, what the hell? And then I have, an unrelated, I have a business that's completely unrelated to any of this. And a business partner of mine lives in Florida. And then it happens so that Matt is a business partner with him, this same person, also in Florida. And we live, the other side of the country. Like, he's in somewhere DC, I'm here in Vegas. So, you know what I mean? So this would be weird, like how both of us have a same business partner in Florida. I'm like, there's something going on here. You know?
That's kind of.
And then I was wearing his stuff because the rash guards, I'm pretty, picky about that. The rash guards are personal to me because it could be really uncomfortable. And then I was wearing Epic Roll rash guards because they were just the best. And then eventually, he came out to a few shows. We would have a backstage dojo. We always roll. I have my security guys are all black belts, jiu-jitsu guys, and we always have guests. And then he would be one of the guests. And then we started to talk like, hey man, what's the bottleneck here? Let's do something. I like the gear. Let's, everybody's a friend of yours. Like, he knows everyone. And so I was like, there's something going on here. And that's kind of how he started.
That's awesome.
And it was a very cool, I always like to tell this one story because this is just fun for me. But when my wife and I went to that first show, that Death Punch show, we left and at the end we went into the dressing room and hung out with him and Heather and everybody for a little bit. But as we left, I was like looking at my wife and I was like, man, so is so cool. I was like, how fun was that? I was like, wouldn't that be amazing if he was my partner for Epic Roll? And we just said it like jokingly, like just putting it out into the universe, just said that. And she even joked that. She was like, yeah, totally. Right, I bet. And then flash forward 3-4 years.
Here you are.
There you are.
I get it. We just met. We've been laughing since you walked in the building, talking shit.
Great.
Yeah, it's just good people meet good people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It doesn't happen a lot, but when it happens, you just know. That's how this all came about. Like, and congrats, Dana White, wearing your stuff on fucking Friday.
Right.
That's big.
Yeah.
Dana's the reason I'm in this building right now. If it wasn't for Dana, I wouldn't be here personally.
Well, see, the coincidence is this what I'm talking about. Like, you just have to notice. Like, this is what we're living in here. This can't be an accident.
No.
Yeah.
I my whole life had so many of these that it's like I'm
The
just
serendipitous moments.
Right? It's just like, yeah, sure, of course. It's
Yeah.
really.
That's how I look at it. I just made a video similar to that, and I posted it because I not that I don't get as excited anymore, but it's been like 6 months. My first few months, I had imposter syndrome. And I'm like, oh man, fuck, just Bobby from Jersey, just this Army guy, and now I've like kind of come into like everybody's just so nice. Everybody's cup is so full, and everyone's just so pleasant. Like the stress went away.
Yeah.
And because I'm more calm, I'm meeting more people because I'm not all. They're like, who's that fucking weird guy over there? Face tattoos, all nervous and shit, looking like a terrorist.
That's funny though, the imposter syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
Every black belt ever gets a black belt in jiu-jitsu has that for a year.
At least there's a preliminary year that happened.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you become a Navy SEAL from what I've heard. You get your trident, and then you get to the teams, and they take it from you.
Yeah.
Right.
And they're like, oh, no, you're not a SEAL yet. And you're like, what the fuck?
You're a practice SEAL.
Yeah, welcome. It begins now.
Yeah.
So do you think that jiu-jitsu was something that kept you grounded and kept you in good shape for tour? I mean, you guys have some goddamn energy on stage.
Right. Not just that. I tell you the truth, martial arts, judo is very close to jiu-jitsu, but martial arts in general, any martial arts that has some level of tradition, so people take it seriously and comes with a load of philosophy, right, is something that will mold your personality, right? Because because martial arts is not something you just do. It's not any other, activity like I'm gonna do this. You become a martial artist, and that's a massive difference. And it all comes from the philosophy of, if you learn to fight and you're a brawler, right, and you win your bar fights, right, you're a brawler, you're not a martial artist. Without the philosophical understanding of what this is and why, and growing up in a spiritual way through martial arts, you're not a martial artist. And as a martial artist, you start to look at the world like, anybody in civilian life, so to speak, would say like, well, this is an obstacle. A martial artist doesn't see an obstacle. A martial artist see a challenge. And, and it's a very different way you start to look at the world, because especially when you start at a young age, but any age to start a martial arts, because it will absolutely rewire your mind. And I always say this, that martial arts actually is one of the reasons why I became successful, because I was a martial artist first, before I even played music. And everything I approach, everything I do came from that perspective, right? And if you parallel that with real life, I mean, like, you're a martial artist, you're going to go train and you're going to have to fight somebody. Couple of things immediately, like, okay, you can get in a bad situation. So in life, shit happens, right? It's coming right at you. So shit happens. What are you going to do? You have to deal with it right now. So immediately your procrastination start to disappear, because you learn it, like, I have to deal with this problem right now, on the mat, right in this moment, right? So that started to go away. I have to solve this. I can't run away. I can't, this has to be dealt with. And it's a challenge, because it's either I'm winning or losing. So it becomes a challenge. It becomes a game for your mind, right? And then when you start to be really good at it, especially Jiu-Jitsu has this element that you start to look at situations like, this looks bad, but I think I can make this advantages for me, right? So it's kind of like almost like your crisis management skills start to come up, because it looks like a crisis, but I'm going to use this against you, right? And so that becomes your lifestyle. And after that, it's really hard to knock somebody down who, I look at everything like, yep, challenge. You say, hey, that mountain is unclimbable. Let me roll up my sleeve. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because that excites me immediately. So to answer the question, it's not just martial arts kept me grounded, but I think martial arts are responsible for me even to be here.
That's awesome.
I think that was the cornerstone, and that was the basis of this, that I had that mindset. Like, I grew up in a communist country. Everybody telling me like, dude, not a fucking chance. We didn't have passports, can go to Western countries, didn't speak English. I showed up in New York with a Hungarian English dictionary and the guitar. I'm like, let's fucking go. You know what I mean? Like, that's how it started. And, if I wasn't a martial artist, I don't think I'm not sure I would have had the testicular fortitude, so to speak, and the drive to, no, I'm doing this.
Makes a lot of sense. Yeah. I did a taekwondo almost to like right before black belt, 4th degree red belt or something back then. I was young. Right. But I remember my dad saying, you're not giving up. You're going to go again tomorrow. I'm just gonna, and it just kept going. My dad was a cop from Brooklyn, New York, single dad,
Oh, now you're going then.
Yeah, he was pretty rough. Going. He used to say, don't get sad, get mad, handle your business. Right. And, but you learn a lot, discipline. You learn how to, like you said, push through obstacles and look at them differently instead of crumbling and just giving up. I think that's why I look at this now. I have people like, how are you going to podcast and meet all these? You don't know anybody. You're not a celebrity. Like, you can't just show up. And I'm like, oh, watch me, bro. Yeah. If I could get into Dana White's office with a cardboard sign, fuck, let's go.
You know what? One of the really interesting, as we were just now, as we're talking about, one of the really interesting thing that also comes out of it, that you start to look at adversaries very differently, right? Like, what I mean by that is, in life, people get into situations, sometimes aggressive, sometimes it's not physical, but aggressive, right? There's a competition and there is some kind of a, what's the word? You're against each other, right? And one of the things in careers that you have to be able to deal with that, right? That there's a competitive nature of things, and anything in life, a job, whatever it is you do, there will be some pushback and there will be some rubbing against the will of other people that you don't see eye to eye. When you're a martial artist, you don't get pissed off, because you just said don't get what was the word? Don't get mad or
Yeah, don't
Get
get
mad.
sad. Yeah,
Get
don't
mad.
get sad, get mad.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's kind of triggered what I was gonna say is that one of the things also you start respecting your opponent.
Yeah.
So I can be, which happened, like we got into with our label or record label. So we would sue each other, right? And to me, it's like just moves on the
Chess.
chessboard. Yeah, that's your move. It's my. I'm not mad. I understand why you're doing that, but hey, that was your move. Now it's mine, right? And so when you're going through life, that you respect your opponents, because if the person that you're up against wasn't an opponent, a real opponent that worthy, then it's not an opponent, it's a victim, right? You just mowed him down, right? But if it's an opponent, that means this person deserve to be there for whatever reason, because it's a formidable force, right?
Bring out the best in you.
So then exactly, you have to, saddest day in a samurai's life when their opponent dies.
Yeah.
Mushashi, man. Because that will keep you on your toes, right? So, so that is actually what you just said is absolutely true, and that's a very interesting thing that also helps you as, again, martial. I'm always waving the flags from martial art, because even if you're 70, it's still not too late. There's still something to get out of this.
Yeah.
So
Judo, Jiu-Jitsu now. Judo was more of a European thing. Is that kind of how?
Yeah,
Because Jiu-Jitsu
right.
is newer, right?
So judo and jiu-jitsu was one art at one point, but then they separated back in Japan some time ago, and so judo became an Olympic sport, right? Very similar to it, and so judo kind of focused on the takedown and the stand-up takedown, and jiu-jitsu, especially Brazilian jiu-jitsu, started to focus on ground fighting. So they kind of start to separate that way, but they really similar to each other and has shared techniques. They're very much. I think the best case scenario if you know both, and you have a pretty complete.
Did you ever train your security when you guys were bored?
Okay,
like in the hotel chilling, like, hey, do you?
We have a backstage dojo, so to speak. So we train with the security, and the funny thing is that's how they were. That's how they were hired. So we're gonna fight. I fought my security guys before they became our security guys.
That makes sense.
My tour manager is a black belt too. Like
Initiation.
You met him. We had an initiation. We rolled. I'm like, all right, you got the job. Same with my security guys.
That makes a lot of sense. I used to teach close quarter combat with the Department of Defense, and all the things I've trained. Like I'm
Army.
MACP. Yeah,
You did
MP.
MACP?
I was military police.
Yeah. So then you went to the modern army combatants. MACP.
I did that and competed all over Iraq. Yep.
Yeah, MACP. Right.
Yeah, I lost in the championships. I got second place at a big multinational force Iraq competition.
Right.
I got there, and I had a friend that was in my brigade, but I didn't know he was also doing the competition. But I knew that he was like a 3-time state wrestling champion. Big, jacked black dude. Very long limbs, just a beautiful man, but a bad dude. And we show up at the end, and it's me and him, and I'm like, oh, no. And that was it. He just mauled me, in like under a minute, and he gave me a hug.
So I had, you have level 4, like 4 levels in MACP. So I trained that. It's more, Matt Larson, he designed that program. He was a judo black belt originally.
Okay.
So Matt Larson designed the modern army combatives. And my security guys are, they were former military, so they all trained in that and fought in the program.
I like it. I also trained, they were called mock drills, mechanical advantage control hold techniques for because I did a lot of bouncing and stuff, but I learned this when I was...
De-escalation kind of...
Yeah, of course, yeah, verbal judo. But what we learned in that, I went through a non-lethal weapons instructor course with the Marine Corps where we got pepper sprayed and tased. Right. No one told me I was going to get hit with all this shit before I went. They're like, who wants to go get their non-lethal? And I'm like, me. And my platoon sergeant's like, you're an asshole. You're going to suffer, So they sprayed us, they beat us, they tased us, all kinds of shit. But we did mock drills, which were like mock 1 through 5. And then we would do 1 through 5 with a takedown to handcuffing.
Right.
And then we would do teams. So if you were drunk, me and you would run at him, and we'd both be going, look at me, and he'd be, look at me, both of us. And then we'd do the same technique and then take you to the ground and then cuff you.
Right.
It was more like escort techniques, like for like bouncers and like getting like if there's a bad domestic, separating the threat from, the room. But I always said I learned just enough to get beat up in the army.
Right. But you had to do all the extractions, all that, right?
Yeah.
Car extractions, all that, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So in a gunfight, I'm a bad dude, but you know, when it comes to getting in there,
You got some
yeah.
simulation hits?
Oh, I used to work as a contractor. Yeah.
I got some.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It hurts, man.
Sims are
you?
simulation rounds. You
Yeah,
know?
you got
Oh,
hit.
yeah. Oh,
Sim rounds are, got 10 times worse than paintball.
right.
Right.
It hurts.
Are these the bags?
No.
No,
like
they're
the-
so it's literally you'll have a real rifle or a real Beretta, any military weapon besides like an automatic, and it's a real bullet, but the tip of it's plastic,
Right.
and it may have a tiny little paint, and boy, those things hurt. Sim rounds suck.
Yeah, I got hit in the hand. It's how
You were
have-
bleeding immediately, right?
Yeah, well, I had Kevlar on it, but still. I mean, I turned the corner, and I had my front grip. Bam.
Oh,
Yeah, it's bad. I got not in trouble, but they were like, Sergeant, tone it down. Some private on one of the courses, he shot me in like the forehead, like right above like my mask, and I got so mad I wanted to kill this kid. I was like, "Oh, you motherfucker!" And they were like, "Hey, get out of the room, go relax."
Yeah.
'Cause it hurt. It hurt so bad I couldn't. My discipline was gone.
Yeah.
Right.
I wasn't even in the army anymore. I just wanted to, kick this kid in the head because he knew better. Like within 10 feet, I think it was like, "Don't shoot."
Yeah.
If we're in this room, I'm just gonna call you dead. But
That's
this kid,
nasty. You did it without a helmet, because what we do is shoot under the mask right here.
yeah, right in the neck.
Oh.
We used to get
You
pretty.
motherfuckers are crazy.
You ever do frozen?
Yeah.
No recommendations to the young kids back home. But in high school, we never drank beer. But if we did drink beer, we would also freeze paintballs and go in the woods and get after
Not
it
cool.
with your shirt off, and whoever could.
Freeze paintballs.
Yeah, shirt off, frozen paintballs, last one
shit.
standing. It was nuts.
Man.
We did whiskey darts. I mean, you're a rock star. You ever hear whiskey darts? Drinking whiskey and you throw darts at each other's backs until it gives up.
No.
Oh, we
no.
did some wild stuff,
Jesus.
man. That was the rock era back then, We just took a turn, didn't we?
Apparently.
Yeah, but from sim rounds to throwing darts at each other.
Jesus.
Yeah, it was pretty wild. I look back and I'm like, holy crap. But I was a perfect soldier because I was nuts. And my dad being a cop, being in 9/11, I always say I was a perfect incubator for hate.
Yeah.
Because my dad's partner died working my dad's shift. 37 guys I haven't tattooed. So it was like, I got to go give back.
Yeah.
So I just sucked up every little thing. I look back now, I have so many Palestinian friends and, Kurdish, Iraqi, I speak pretty good Arabic. And I'm like, God damn, like I was poisoned
Right.
at a young age,
Right.
But that's, I guess
wild.
countries do that,
Oh, yeah.
So what's next for you guys? You guys paired up. I think that's awesome. Have you guys been obviously you have big, like apparel. How does that why did you target apparel? Was it because there was a lack of something, like you said, that you had wore his and it was the best? Like what made you guys of all things get into the apparel?
It's more gear actually than apparel.
Gear, okay.
It's more gear. Obviously, you have the apparel for the, the thing about apparel, when you wear jiu-jitsu brands, you will collect friends even on the street.
Because they want some?
Because they see it. So, I would get on a plane or whatever, and there's 100%, there's another jiu-jitsu guy like, hey, yo, bro, where you play, where you train? It's immediate conversation.
Yeah.
So
So it's one of those things, right? Like the people who drive Beetles, what is that little
Yeah, that's
Volkswagen?
like-
How they flash at each other,
Uh-huh.
like, hey,
Yeah,
another
oh.
one, right? So it's the same thing with jiu-jitsu stuff, right? So we wear that. I have this, Matt is wearing it right now. It's a keychain. So this little keychain has the color. Mine is a black belt one. And, people see it and come up to me all the time. So it's kind of like a signaling to all the brothers that,
Oh, I'm a
and sister
fraternity
chain.
brother. I'm a Freemason, so.
So they all
Nice.
all they see it like, oh, jiu-jitsu, and they come up to you and talk to you. So there is a reason even for the apparel to exist, but it started really with gear. That gear that we use. When he gave me his original first gis, super light, comfortable, the right cut, it matters,
Yeah.
It matters. So it was the right cut, the right tight where it's supposed to be and loose where it's supposed to be loose, and so it was the right cut, the right materials. Same with the rash guard, it was just good, right? There's a difference. Like I have rash guards, I can't wear it because it's too tight under my, you know what I mean?
It's not comfy.
So that's comfortable.
Yeah, I had
So-
a lot of gear, same.
So when I was talking to Matt, he was telling me in the beginning that he just started it for himself, wanted to make gear that is comfortable for him, right? And then that's how the company grew from. And by the time I met him, he was giving me stuff. I'm like, man, this is great. And now it's like we have a lot of high-level guys that are wearing it. And
Yeah, it's all, I'm gonna start wearing it on my show. I love the name too, Epic Roll. I see a lot of names, a lot of niche, like, come on. Yeah, Epic Roll is pretty cool. So you guys are in town. Obviously, you live here.
Mm-hmm.
There's a competition. Can you guys talk about that?
yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that was going on.
Yeah, World Masters like the largest one, I believe, in history, and tons of guys in there. So. One of our other guys in the Epic Roll tribe, Bobby Maximus, he's flown in. He's going to compete. So we kind of had it slated for all three of us to just go out and compete and see how it goes. And for me, competing just keeps you honest. It keeps you sharp. It kind of like you train with the same people in your school all the time, and this is what provides context and perspective on your progress. And it, I feel if I don't feel that anxiety of training or not training of competing, I feel like I lose sort of an edge. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
I like the anxiety. I like the that feeling and that position of like just putting your ego on the line and your humility and just going out and doing it. Because a lot of people won't do that. A lot of people won't. They'll train and they'll hide at home. And I don't know how else you can really qualify your jiu-jitsu, without actually competing and putting yourself out there.
Makes sense.
Right.
So
It's a goal. It's like a test. You're testing yourself.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
This is when you go 100%. With your academy at home, you never really go 100%. It's unexpected stuff that, what Matt just said, like you start to get used to training partners, and then you kind of know what's going to happen, and
Yeah, you kind of.
Yeah. And the same thing. I'm going to, I insert these things in this because another thing about competing, I always recommend to people to compete because the competition also puts you in a different mind state of there's something you can learn there that you can't learn anywhere else, right? And then, again, the situation where this is the other guy and you. Nobody can save you. This is going to happen right now. And what's going to happen, you're going to have an adrenaline drop. You're physically reacting to this. And the more you do it, the calmer you're going to be. Like I walk out and, people always like, what's with these guys? Because I'm always laughing. I'm like, yeah, all right, let's do this, right?
You're about to find out.
I think 90% of his competition photos are just a smiley face.
Right?
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
And so everyone's like, what the fuck is with this guy? Because, to me, it's fun, right? Some I win, some I lose. I don't care, right? And to me, it's a lot of fun. But the most important part is that you're in a high stress situation. Like, okay, well, you were in the war. So you know what I'm talking about when, people start shooting and you slowly put on your gear, all right, let's do this shit, right? After a while, it isn't phasing you.
No.
See? And it's kind of the same thing. Like
It's kind of morbid, but
right,
you get used to it.
It's true, right? So it's a weird thing where you're supposed to be nervous, you're supposed to have that adrenaline jump, and if you keep competing, it eventually stops. To me, I go out on stage, there's 100,000 people, okay. The song goes the same way. If it's 20 people or 100,000, it's the same execution, right?
That makes you like a complete savage when it comes to competing because you're used to walking in front of such MetLife Stadium, right. And then you're going to go in front of 200 people on a jiu-jitsu competition.
Yeah.
You don't even know that. Like you're like.
Yeah, neighborhood barbecue.
That's really good.
I don't have that, now sometimes that adrenaline actually helps you. You're stronger actually. When you're nervous, you're stronger. So many times for me when I walk out, I'm like, all right, man, let's do this thing, It's almost like I should get angry or something.
Yeah.
But, smack me, bro.
I'm just not.
Someone insult me.
Say something fucked up, man. You know what I mean?
That's so true.
But if you keep going to compete, you will attain this. Right?
Yeah.
When it becomes a routine. And then now you're going to walk and talk differently. And in all life, all parts of life. So when you're doing business or you're doing any kind of scenario, any tricky scenario happens to you in real life, okay.
I'm
you
the
know what I
same.
mean?
My wife tells me that, and she's like, "But it's a little too much. Like
Right.
we'll almost get in an accident." I'm like, "It didn't happen. We're
Right.
fine."
Yeah.
She's like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "We're good."
It's like,
but
but did you die?
yeah, but did you die? Yeah, I'm so
right.
relaxed because I've been through so much hell and
Right.
chaos
Right.
that I'm like, we're good.
Yeah.
You know,
I
everything's
mean,
fine.
everybody has like money problems and everybody has normal life problems, but jiu-jitsu and being in those uncomfortable situations, like I don't think a large percentage of the population puts themselves in these physical situations of being that uncomfortable. And I think there's something else that happens to you just like mentally when you're dealing with, not only is just mental stress, it's a physical stress.
Right.
You're putting it all together, emotional, physical, mental. And so you deal with that on like a fight or flight, live or die sort of a thing. And so then it really puts everything else in perspective. Like, did someone get shot? No. Okay, then we can handle it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Did
right.
someone, I mean, no one's dead? Okay, cool. We can handle this. Like, so I think there are definitely some really good parallels like there that just happens. You just learn this from jiu-jitsu whether you want to or not if you're just in the game long enough, you know?
That's so awesome.
I think I'm going to compete too. Like I sign up to all the competitions, and then we'll see when, because my life is super busy, so I can't, So I sign up to all of them, and whichever I can do, so I sign up for this. Right? I was on tour for the last month, so I barely trained these last 4 weeks, and I have a show on Sunday, and there would be a world championship on Friday. So I'm like,
Should I?
you know what I mean?
Do I want to pull a hamstring?
No, you know what? Fuck it.
Yeah.
Let's just, let's go. Let's do it. What worst case scenario? I get knocked out in the first round. And,
Yeah, I mean, you wake up.
But I mean,
knocked out as in,
Yeah,
from the
choked out.
competition, because we have a bracket system where,
Oh, you're knocked out of the competition.
yeah. So it's
There's
if
so
you
many
lose a
guys on
game,
them.
if you lose a match, then you're out.
Do you guys weigh into like what do
Oh,
you
yeah.
guys go in at? Because you guys are like my size, like 205, right?
Yeah, I'm super heavy. So 208 to 222.
Okay.
I'm usually like 180. This one I decided not to cut weight, so I think the cutoff is like 195, and I was weighing at like 190.
Yeah.
So-
because you're pretty jacked too.
I mean, I didn't want to cut weight for it, but I also like doing this, it's like a different mindset, I think, and not everybody shares that, where some people do this very seriously and they're, it's the world, it's not like just some local Naga tournament or something.
Right.
So I understand that. I'm not taking away from all the athletes that do that. It's just that when you look at your lifestyle and you look at your family and you look at everything you have going on, there's going to always be limitations to the amount of time that I'll dedicate to something like that, because I've been competing my whole entire career at jiu-jitsu. For 20 years I've been competing every belt level, and I've done that, and I'll just keep doing it because I like it, but not going in with the stress. Like, would I like to be a black belt world champion? Fuck yeah, absolutely. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And maybe we'll still make it happen. Like maybe, but in the meantime, I still have a good time just being there and just competing and just being in that environment. Just
That's
putting
good
yourself-
because once you start resenting it, it's like
Yeah.
It's like, look at Formula One, to draw a weird parallel, right? So what's the difference between a number 1 car and a number 20?
4
the
seconds.
sponsors on the window.
A couple of seconds. You know what I mean? Like here it's kind of the thing where, you go out there and if you want to be world champion, because some of the guys that we compete against, this is what they do, meaning they have an academy an entire chain of academies. So their entire life is getting up in the morning, go teach class. Afternoon, teach class. Evening, teach class. So that guy rolls 6 hours a day, right? If you don't, we can't really do that.
Yeah.
And I'm going to have to compete against somebody that's their life.
So
right?
you're a world champion black belt in running a band,
Right.
you would say, right? Because you put
I mean, I did pretty good. I got second on national, and you know what I mean. So I got a bunch of medals. So the thing is but between getting the third place and first place, there are so much work, right? So getting good at jiu-jitsu is a lot of work. Getting one of the number 1 guy, it's 100 times more. So that's what I guess Matt is talking about. There's a difference between you're a black belt, you're fine, you know what you're doing, and you're fighting against other black belts, and even for a world champion, it's hard to put you away, right? I'm fighting 17 times world champions, and they couldn't put me away. Yep. Ended up winning on some points, but can't put me away. Mm-hmm. But to beat them, I would have to train 100 times more, and then some. See what I mean? So that's kind of what I meant by the first car. And the last car has only a couple of seconds difference, but man, but also
it's crazy. At that second,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the same thing where, you know, that you're close, you know, you're holding your own with the best of the best, but to beat them, you would have to train so much more. You would have to dedicate your entire life, and some of us just can't do that.
So what does your life look like now? I know you're out here, you're doing show, like.
At this moment, we are on tour. Basically, we're doing this, the M72 Metallica has this stadium tour for the next 2 years. And so we are on that tour basically with them. It's a stadium tour. We are playing right before Metallica. Generally, we don't open for bands, but this is fucking Metallica. You know what I mean? Like, that's a different story. If the aliens land, you know what I mean? It's like they have to be like, okay, we have to talk to Metallica first before we move forward with anything else. You know what I mean? Like that band, you know, like it's an institution. It's the crystallization of heavy metal, in my opinion. Like this is how big it can be. That's it, right? And so, as I said, generally we don't open for any bands. We're doing our own stuff. But when this came about, we played a show with them in Germany, and we were across from each other in the dressing rooms. And so we were talking to each other, and actually Lars, the drummer, was joking like, "Hey man, like how weird that we never crossed paths ever. We never crossed paths in any festival."
Really?
Yeah, and you know, and he was like, "Man, maybe shouldn't wait another 30 years to cross paths. How about do something together, right?" And a couple of months later, we got the offer that there's a possibility we could go on this stadium tour. So we're doing that. In between, we hit some festivals here and there. And so basically, that's the right now lifestyle is get on a plane, fly in, play a show, fly home.
Train jiu-jitsu.
Train jiu-jitsu. Next weekend, fly again, play a show, you know.
Okay. So it's a little different than back in the day. You guys just stayed out for 6 months, 8 months,
more than
year.
That. Like the beginning, when we talked about the very early ages,
Yeah.
first couple of years, 240 days, 250 days on the road every year.
That's wild.
That's rough.
Like, yeah.
On a bus too back then?
Yeah. But I'm a nomad, man. I like it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like it's just kind of the thing where I like that we keep moving. You know what I mean? It's a different, you know, it's a different lifestyle. I like the idea that I'm living out of a suitcase, hotel rooms, buses, and just keep moving.
Are you still having fun?
Yeah.
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 I see it in you. I can feel it. I ask a lot of people that are at the pinnacle of what they've done something for a while, like if they're still having fun. Because that's like you said, it's a big thing. You gotta, once you lose that, you start resenting it, you know?
Well, it's almost like, you know, we also have to, it's a massive organization. We travel with 200 people when it's our own tour, and you know, and there's an immediate crew, probably about 45, 50 that we actually travel with. So it's a big organization, and you have to run it.
It's a responsibility.
You know? It's a responsibility. Like, you know, I have to be sane. I have to know and understand everything. So it's a music business. We all want to be just musicians. But if you don't understand the other side, you know, you're not going to make it. Not today.
Yeah, like the media.
Not today. No, it's you have to understand everything about it, or you're not going to make it.
Is podcasting more prevalent now? Because I know back then it was like just run up and then, you know, interviews were...
Right.
Media's got to be so different now.
Yeah.
I mean, we're sitting here doing a podcast. Podcasts were nothing in 02.
No.
We didn't even have YouTube.
Well, think about it. The global platforms are gone. Back in the days, you could make a music video, put it on MTV, and then you're famous worldwide.
Yeah,
that's done. That's over, right? So basically, that means it's basically the entire music industry broken down into territories. So how the press and the media behaves in America is very different from everyone else. And then you go to Europe, every country is different. There's no comprehensive coverage, meaning, let's say America still have radio, so radio is fairly strong still, right? So, but that's the only one. There are not really, there are no magazines really anymore. Couple, Revolver, and
it's all gone.
So printed magazines are gone. There are obviously online magazines, but how much time people spend on it. So there's no curated media anymore, really, where you follow the DJ or somebody and would listen to their opinions, or TV programs that were specifically about the genre you liked. So all that's gone. So it's wild west right now for breaking a band in. Man, we just made it. I don't know, these new bands gonna have a really difficult time. Interestingly though, what you said, podcasts is now kind of the thing. Because this is the only thing that you have a voice through, so to speak. that people can listen to it. People don't like to read, especially not on computer screens.
We're so lazy.
No, it's not just that. It's like computer screens. It's I like I buy books. I still, I read books, and I still read. I read hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of books, and I still read. I don't like to read it on
like a Kindle.
No, never. I've never done it.
I can't stand it.
And you know what? It's weird. I don't like to listen to it because I want to see the words, how they've written, how they're pronounced, and when I look at a sentence, sometimes I want to read it again. Like, is this what I think it means? You know what I mean? So I think you can absorb something much better in much more detail when you actually reading it versus, you're just listening to it. So I like reading it. And so, but for what we're talking about right now, it's that's gone. And the next best thing is podcasts.
Have you guys thought about doing something?
Podcasts?
I'm sure you've had people approach you. Have you guys ever thought about like a jiu-jitsu base, like, rotate your guys in?
It's a lot of work, Like you have to, think about it. You're doing it. So you have to dedicate your life to the research, who's going to be your guest, everything that you're going to do. You kind of have to be prepared.
I put 7 hours in yesterday for you guys.
Yeah.
I know when you took a shit last week. You
right.
know what I mean? No, I'm just kidding.
How big it was?
It was pretty beautiful. I got to be honest. I was impressed. I was impressed.
So a world record. So and
it's a lot of work for sure.
It is.
We do those jokes when you put a post-it note like "Don't flush, possible world record." Went to Home Depot. Went to Home Depot to get a measuring stick.
Right. Take a picture.
Right. So yeah, it's a lot of work. You have to prepare. This is a full-time job for you, right?
Yeah, basically. And then I drive Uber on the side when I can. Right. Thank you, Al Qaeda, for blowing my truck up because I get a check now that pays the rent. So I appreciate the bomb. Thank you.
Yeah,
it's a lot, and I know it's only going to continue to grow. I mean, like I said, Conor McGregor just reposted our stuff the other day because I had Marcus Deegan. I don't know if you guys have met Marcus. He's the Conor lookalike, and this guy is tremendous. I'm actually speaking with him, and we have a meeting this week for him to maybe come more on board because it's a lot doing this alone and being a dad, and I have an 8-month-old, and I live in Centennial Hills, and we're just not at the point where I can put 1,000%, and that's my personality. They had to tell me, hey, slow down, man. It's gonna come. It's been 5 months. So with him, our energy together is just tremendous, and he knows a lot of people in the fight game, and I just think if you find good people, like you said, grab onto him. And he was one of the good guys. He cracks me up. I mean, he has a viral video dressed like Michael Jackson on the Strip. Looks identical to Michael Jackson. And some guys walk by and they like talk shit to him. Well, he's also like a jiu-jitsu, like MMA fighter.
Wait,
who's
is
ripped.
this that video where the guy looked like Michael Jackson got into a fight?
Yeah,
that was him. Remember that shit?
Yeah, that's the guy.
He was like dancing on him and like hitting his back and shit.
Everybody saw that video.
Oh no, not the dancing one.
Oh, okay.
No, I know. There's another. No, that's a skinnier guy.
Yeah.
This guy's Australian.
Okay,
he looks just like Conor. He's pretty jacked.
That's funny.
But someone said some shit to him, and he's like, he went straight from like Michael Jackson to Australian. I'll beat your ass, mate. That was just, God. I'll send it to you guys.
That's funny.
So you don't know if you're going to, but you might be in Dubai tomorrow or something? Like,
right. That happens too. But no, I think I'm going to compete just because I'm already here. I sign up, you know what I mean? It's like, the thing is, for me, it's a little bit, sometimes I have to abandon positions because what I do, I mean, I can't jeopardize it, obviously. If I that's
break your hand, God forbid.
I have to be. I'm responsible for so many people. We traveling with a massive. A lot of people depends on this. So there are positions, there are situations, and like, okay, I'm just gonna let this one go.
Smart.
Because I have to be conscious of that. So I can't really go full berserker all the time, and that's okay.
That's smart though.
Because I just love the competition. I actually have fun, and I know most of the guys I compete against anyway.
I might stop by there tomorrow. I'm not sure how it works. And you're definitely gonna compete, or you?
I'm gonna be there with my gi and all my stuff. Like my guess is all the IBGF tournaments that I've been to, there are always people that like drop out or don't show or something happens to the flight or whatever. Like my flight this morning, it was like half the plane was jiu-jitsu people. It was hilarious. Like literally half the fucking plane. This guy was like looking at me, he's like, what do you guys all do? I was like, yeah, you're very safe.
All of your ears look weird.
Yeah, he was like, look at everybody's ears, and he's like, look at everybody's shirt, and everybody's got like, you know, jiu-jitsu something, and you just looking around. I was like, holy shit, I've never been on a flight with that many jiu-jitsu people. It was hilarious. You know. So I'm gonna go. I mean, I was gonna be here anyway, you know, for everything that we're just shooting content and just supporting, you know, the other guys that are competing, and so I hope so. I hope so. It's really frustrating when you're there and you're like, you want to fucking compete, you know,
there.
and you're like, yeah, I'm not gonna let
Oh,
you. So
because you signed up, but you were in the reserve, right?
I was in the wait list, but what I didn't understand is like I didn't know that they were gonna send me an email like a day later and be like, hey, we were full, but you're on this wait list and now you can register. So like a couple days go by and I happen to check my email and I see IBGF and I'd look and it said, hey, you were on the wait list, so we're opening this up for you to register. It closes tonight at midnight, you know, or like tomorrow at midnight. And I was like, fuck. So I missed it. I missed that. And I wrote back and I said, hey, I'm going to be there. So I'm just going to go and I'm going to be there. And if you can use me, then that would be great. And they're like, all right, well, we closed it down, you know, but.
Yeah, you never know. Someone could cut weight and hurt themselves.
That's what I'm saying. There's a lot. And with like 50 dudes in each division, like there's at least a chance. So
Yeah.
I'm going to go with the, you know, the opportunity to compete if they will allow me. If not, then we'll still have a fucking great time and, you know, it'll be fine.
We got to get you into a. Have you been to Contender Series? I'm sure you have access to. Have you been to any of the Contender Series
No,
stuff?
actually, I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
I watched it on TV. But
We'll and you're a local too.
Right.
I'll connect you. The owner, my buddy John, boss, we'll make that happen. I'm sure you could
That's
by
cool.
yourself too, but the best fights I've ever watched because these kids are fighting for their life.
Yeah.
right.
And it's just, you know, they have the room in the back where you can eat, you know, so there's food. You don't have to worry about. I just found out it's some Greek like restaurant they do. Oh my God, the whole
Oh, really?
it's a whole table, a bunch of different. It's so good.
Right.
They got the howler heads, and the happy dad stuff. Well, I'll connect now that I know that you're local.
That's cool.
Obviously, if I would, we'll make it happen. We'll all go.
Yeah.
Contender Series is great. I gotta ask before we wrap this up. Any news about the convention?
Yeah, so we looked at a bunch of places, and it logistically it looks really hard to pull it off here. So Rob found this place that's actually out in his neck of the woods, like out in Florida.
Perfect.
And it was the exact amount of space and everything. And so right now he was just negotiating the kind of the lease terms, because this was a little bit of a not a slumlord, but just like kind of like a. I mean, the guy.
Florida.
The guy was kind of like, well, it's like $7 now, but then I want it to be this much later once I put AC in and this, and so he's just like kind of working through these bullshit.
So you're gonna help build his building brand new.
Yeah, it literally, it's got some weird shit, but that doing it at a facility like that where we're now. He's paying rent on this facility that we have, so we're not just paying one big payment to like rent out a hall. Where now you have to get a sponsor for that, like that one
it's a
main.
lease?
Yeah, because he wanted to have a headquarters. Like the goal was to have a headquarters where you could have podcast studio, you could have seminars, you could have smoker fights, you could have all this kind of shit going on the whole time. And so then he can sub it out to different people and make it so if the rent's $12,000-$15,000 a month, now
yeah.
you're doing these every month you're doing events. And then the problem is that this company wanted to see us provide them with a list of the events that we've already hosted, and that number is 0. So we're like, so they're like, well, you got to do some stuff to get in.
Like,
this.
hold my
Okay.
beer. You don't know who we are.
Yeah, we're like, all right, fine, motherfucker. So that's kind of the plan. Is I think to start it out in Florida at one of those locations that ends up being like the headquarters for him, because much more palatable financially for us, like take that on, and we can still, like, we have such amazing people in our network that we can it doesn't have to be about quantity, it can just be about the quality, right? Like if we have 10 of the coolest fucking people in the industry that are there and doing awesome stuff and really engaging with people and everybody's having a good time, then great. And like, objectively we can look at that situation and figure out that and how to make it, packaged in a smaller deal than what we wanted to kind of grow into.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was really weird here. I mean, I think it was like we needed that though to like sit and
growing pains, man.
Yeah, you got to
know?
look around and you got to see like, okay, is this too big for us to take on? Is this not? Is it, what are the costs? You just didn't know until you're kind of there and in the thick of it. So it's something that for sure should happen and will. It's just getting, introduced, I think, on a smaller scale that we can actually grow it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. So
that's how I feel with everything. Growing pain, you got to figure it out. Take some time.
For sure.
I'm so glad you guys came, and I always tell people, because I've met a lot of people, but when I meet cool people, like, not because of your status, like, you guys are just cool dudes. I had fun laughing with you guys, talking shit, and that means a lot to me, that you thought about me and that you guys came on the show. Because I know we're not there yet, but we're gonna get there wherever there is. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I'm gonna enjoy it.
Consistency, man. Like, I mean, think about it. All these guys who are really successful at podcasts, right? They usually, like, they started a decade ago, man. Like, they just kept going, and that's the whole game. Where the beginning, you're not gonna have that view, but you can't quit.
Yeah.
If you quit, it for sure won't happen, right?
And
so you have to.
I'm blessed though, because I met Dana.
Right.
From the cardboard sign, and then
I heard about that story.
Yeah,
that's insane.
Yep. And then I met John, who owns this, and then John has the brand, which is growing like Barstool Sports type of deal.
Right.
So it's not just Bobby showed up with a couple mics. It's we have a team and people behind us. So I'm just blessed to be in the building. Anything else that comes from it, I'm stoked. Like, cool.
Right. Well, did you see? I mean, have you gone back to look? You can go on Spotify and go back to Joe Rogan's first podcasts. Have you done that?
Yeah, it's like him sitting at a desk.
It's him and Eddie sitting in his fucking living room at their table. Like, half the first 20 minutes of the podcast is not even edited out, where they're trying to figure out how to get the volume and all the shit working and this and that. And I did these little video clips and these screenshots of each one every 10 episodes. And I was putting together this little just movie clip that I was going to post that just shows quick little snapshots where you can see the evolution of that, because dude's got the largest podcast platform in the universe, and he started sitting around this table. So it's there's so many examples of things like that out there for people to see and to really believe in what they're trying to build, but it's just the work that has to go behind it. And I think that's where people struggle, is if it's not right now, we're a very on-demand society. Amazon Prime me that shit tomorrow. I want to see it immediately. I need things right now. We're an instant gratification society. So then when you put us with things that take time, it's I don't know if I want to take on that. That's a lot of my time. That's too much,
I think for me, I needed that purpose and the time. All the years in the military, being lost, being sober now, going through the custody stuff and the divorces. Now I'm remarried with a baby. I needed something to just ground me and say, all right, fucker, sit down. This is going to work. Yeah. Just keep showing up. I needed that. Because for so many years, it was 0630 formation, 09 accountability. Just go. And I lost that. And when I lost that, I lost myself, dove into the substances and all that stuff. And I watched a great documentary on all you guys yesterday. And it's not just, everybody goes through shit, right. But purpose is a big thing. And I'm glad you guys have jiu-jitsu. So find jiu-jitsu. Find Epic Roll.
Yeah,
I'm gonna get some of the.
If you're not wearing Epic Roll yet, I don't know what's happening with you.
Yeah,
if you don't know, you know what I mean. Now you know.
Now you know. I appreciate you guys. I know you guys are super busy. We'll talk after this because I want to see at least what tomorrow. I'd like to support you guys. Talk. Hang out. So. Once again, Fight Junkies, like, share, subscribe. Tell your grandma, tell your sister, tell your ex-wife, tell your ex-girlfriend, tell your dog. I appreciate you guys. We're out.
Peace.